challenges of a short week presents on just getting your guys ready and healthy?
Getting your mind right first. Getting your mind right for the task at hand on all levels, coaches, players, everybody involved in the organization. Because there's a contest at the end of the week, and whoever does a better job doing that and being diligent with the time and the efficiency is obviously going to do a better job.
Montez is certainly the most experienced quarterback you faced. Is he also the most physically gifted and talented that you faced so far?
There's no question this is going to be the biggest challenge. And, we come every week and we say that, but here's the bottom line. I mean, this team has a really good O-line. They got really good skilled players. Their wide receivers are the best we've seen, and the quarterback is the most experienced. He's got a talented arm, and he physically is very talented in terms of his mobility and his ability to keep his eyes down the field and extend plays when the pocket does break down. And so there's a lot of challenges that poses.
When you mentioned the O-line, 5 sacks allowed on a per pass play basis, that's pretty stunning. And now you've just lost one of your defensive linemen. How big a challenge is this, not just because of how good they are, but because of you lose Gus this week?
Gus has done a tremendous job. That was heartbreaking. Just from my time here from day one, Gus has done an unbelievable job and was growing in so many different ways. You guys are seeing it on the field. You guys are seeing it on the field, but more importantly, how he was growing as a young man and how he'll continue to grow. It's going to be a big loss for us there. But, guys got to step up, and we've got some edge guys that will be able to fill in and step in his place, and they've got to work really, really hard to fill his shoes.
How much do you have to take into account the aggression of play calling that we've seen from Colorado over the course of the year? They had that end around with Nixon. That was a touchdown last week against Nebraska. They had a flea flicker from their own 4-yard line. I mean, how much do you have to take that into account, knowing that at any point, at any spot on the field, that they could try something?
Right, there's no question. I mean, you've got to, number one, you got to play with great communication and eye control to be able to handle those certain situations. Ultimately, comes down to winning one-on-one battles and playing with leverage. And so we've got to do a great job with the edges and playing with leverages, and obviously in the secondary playing with great eye control.
Even though it was a couple of coordinators ago, do you pop that 2016 film in of what Montez did here, kind of motivate the defense a little bit?
They've showed clips of games from that year, but myself, I'm focused on what he's doing right now and how productive and how he's done it this year. Obviously with the new coaching staff, and there's plenty of things to watch and make sure that we've got to work on.
You're about halfway through your first regular season as defensive coordinator at Oregon. I'm sure you don't have a ton of time to reflect, but has there been a moment that stood out to you as most memorable so far?
It all kind of runs together. Every day, as they always say, the days are long, and the weeks get that way too, but the months fly by, and you turn back and you look and you're like, well, here we are in the middle of it already, but it's for me the biggest thing that I think stands out and I think about is how we're learning to stay in the fight as a team, as a defense, in terms of over the course of a game, no matter the situations that pop up, how things go, how we're learning to fight together, how we're working together as a coaching staff, and I think really too how that pays off, and the players are doing so. And we were in a tight game this past week, and the whole team stayed together, and we fought all the way through the end to get that done. And I think right now, just seeing the growth, that's kind of the thing that sticks out to me the most.
Troy was a little bit quiet in.
Sorry, say it again.
Troy was a little bit quiet in that first half against Cal, which is kind of uncharacteristic for him. Was that something that Cal did specifically? I mean, how do you kind of attack what you saw with him specifically on film this week?
You know what? I don't know that specifically they did anything to make him quiet or, the course of which that happened. But, they tried to run the ball, and he did a good job with his run fits and things like that. And obviously helping handle the fronts and all the things in the operation he has to do there. So, sometimes in the game it's going to go that way. You're really productive, but the stat sheet doesn't show up that way,
When you were coming up through your coaching career, when did you kind of start to decide that this was the type of defense that you wanted to run, in just terms of taking bits and pieces and saying this is going to be my
over the
identity?
course? So that's probably the question. That it's been over the course of it, and pulling pieces back. The ironic thing enough is when I was playing college football, I was learning the defense that was brought from here to Boise State, and some of those things still exist within our defense. Some of the words still exist, and you open Coach Aliotti's old playbook that's sitting up there, and you look at some of the words, and that exists in our defense still. So it goes way back, and so it's just been shoot, you're not going to sit here making everything up. You got to be a good pirate, right? You got to find the things you like, and you got to take it and make it fit.
Yeah, you have some really bizarre splits on third down where most all of your statistics are pretty incredible. Like you lead the country on 3rd and 7 and 9, but on 3rd and 10 plus, you worked that hard to get there. I'm sure you're thrilled that opponents have had 18 opportunities, but 12 completions and like 7 for first downs. That's not stellar. So what explains what's happened? Obviously, this past week they capitalized, but you just mentioned they have Montez coming up, and he's the best passer. So how do you try to correct that particular issue?
Yeah, there's no question. Number one, it comes down to situational defense and knowing where we're at in those windows, and we've got to do a good job. Number one, knowing what the down and distance is, right, and how those down and distances, especially on third down, pertain to the techniques and how we play those techniques. And that's one area of emphasis that we've got to continue to work on really, really hard to improve in those areas.
Isaac Slade and Matautia had an incredible game last week. What does he really bring to your defense at the linebacker position?
Mentality. He's a mentally. He's a tough player. He's a tough player. He brings athleticism. He runs really well. He's got a great change of direction. He understands these run fits really, really well. So his growth over the course of this year has been impressive. And obviously there's things that we got to continue to grow at. But he does a nice job allowing us to be multiple with it. He can play off the edge. He can play in the box. He's a good inside blitzer as well.
With his just size and athleticism, do you see any similarities between Montez and Herbert, and has been able to kind of practice against Herbert throughout the course of the year, been able to help prepare for them?
Right. So both extremely big, athletic guys that have great arm strength, right? And so there are some similarities there. We do face one of the best quarterbacks in the nation every day, and just had to face him here at the end of the practice, and it didn't go very well for us. But it's every week there's challenges. Every week there's certain personnel challenges, there's scheme challenges, and that's where we've really got to work to be diligent to get ourselves ready for those things.
Can you talk a little bit about Lamar Winston and what kind of job he's done for you so far this year?
Yeah, so he allows us to be multiple as well. I mean, Lamar plays a couple different positions and is able to handle that load in terms of the techniques and the alignments depending on where he's at and his effectiveness and how he's doing that. And so the more he's able to grow in this defense, the more we'll continue to be able to do with him as well.
KT talked about eye control and having the learning process so far his first month in. Clearly he's put some things together here this past week, but with Gus going down, do you look at KT now as is he starting to become more than a situational pass rusher for you? Is he more of a first and second down player than he was 3 and 4 weeks ago?
Yeah, and that's exactly it. And KT's done a really good job of late of focusing on the process and the little details that make a huge difference, and it starts to show up in little areas, and now he's applying that to all areas within the game and how he prepares, and we just got to keep growing that way. And it's not just him, it's everybody. But when we do have that success of learning how to use that success and how we got that success and apply it to all areas, and that's where he's done a really good job, and we need him and DJ and a few of the other guys to step up, and Gus's in Gus's absence.